Well, welcome back to the Earning Confidence Podcast. I'm here with a special guest today, my guy, Jorge Perez. Today we're going to dive into a little bit, just like in the past episodes, people that are kind of doing stuff outside the 9 to 5 and taking the road less traveled, trying to find success in things that are not necessarily what we would consider the norm, right? So people that are kind of pushing through fear and earning confidence to succeed in whatever it is that they're trying with entrepreneurship or fitness or nutrition, whatever. So today we got Jorge. Jorge is a serial entrepreneur, hashtag serial entrepreneur. He's got 2 businesses that he's trying to get off the ground. He's doing very well with both of them. And he's definitely a subject matter expert that I turn to when it comes to content creation and video editing. So we're going to dive into a bunch of that. So welcome, Jorge.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Thanks for coming on.
Nice intro, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I appreciate it. So welcome. Let's start with a little bit of, as we normally do, a little bit of background on you. So where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in the Chicagoland area in this little place called Little Village. That was brief in my life, it's really short stuff. So my mom then moved us over to what, we thought it was a nicer neighborhood or like a better neighborhood, which was Cicero, right next door, the neighboring neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So that's where I grew up majority in my teens and, basically all my adult life. And now I live in Oak Park. So
nice.
That's where I live at.
So all on the southwest kind of side of Chicago.
Yeah, basically right over there. That's where all my life lives.
So I'm a little familiar with Little Village and Cicero, and
for good reasons, I hope.
Not necessarily. I mean, I've had some family that lived in Cicero, and I actually had a cousin who was a Cicero police officer for a while, and there's a lot of history with Cicero. Political corruptness and stuff like that. But the question I have is, I also grew up on the southwest side, a little different area, but something that I was surrounded by, and I'm curious to see if you were, was there was a lot of gangs and a lot of people that definitely weren't, on the right path. Did you experience that where you grew up?
Yeah, definitely. I it's funny you say because we actually lived next to one of the gang's head leaders. So like he was our next door neighbor.
Wow.
So there's a lot of good and a lot of bad that comes with that,
Sure.
And obviously, we're very well protected. He knows us,
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere I walked around, I never really felt like I was in danger.
Sure.
Because I always felt like, we knew those guys, you know what I mean? So my sister knew them well. My brother knew them well. Basically my whole family, So my grandma lived on the other side of the street, So like my cousins we all grew up around that. It's pretty interesting though that you bring it up because I don't know how we didn't get involved in it.
Mm-hmm. That was my next question.
Yeah,
how were you able to navigate yourself away from that?
Honestly, I always look back at it and I always think like how we never got sucked into it, being so close to it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was my mother or my grandma or my cousins. Nobody, like literally nobody, like being around that. And we were like in the heart of like danger zone of like the gangs and stuff like that. We lived on like 24th and Whipple, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, all the stuff we saw, and just to not be so sucked into that, it was very interesting. And I always look back at it and just wonder, like, I wonder how and like how we never got into it. I mean, my brother got jumped multiple times and stuff like that, but and my cousins got in multiple fights and stuff also. But I mean, we never turned and we never got into like the actual lifestyle. And it was interesting. And then I was pretty young too, so it's not something that I really like got into it. So then we ended up moving to Cicero before I even like really started, being able to like know about fights and stuff like that, and like drugs and stuff, and like even testing out like I want to try pot and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like,
and you didn't experience that same gang and drug. It wasn't as bad in Cicero.
No, you know what? Cicero, I I don't want to say, but it's kind of like the fake version of like the bootleg version of what's going on in Little Village in Chicago and stuff like that. A bunch of wannabes are like kind of live in Cicero, and there is bad parts, and I mean, don't get me wrong, you could get jumped and you could get but it's not like something where you're just like, I could safely walk at night in Cicero, you know what I mean? But like in Little Village, I would definitely be strapped or something, you know what I mean? I would definitely be on the lookout, so something like that. So it never really bothered me, and I think it just never entered into our life. So it was very interesting how we never, maybe because my mom just worked her ass off, and maybe we kind of saw that. So I really don't know how we didn't get sucked into that.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. So was it just your mom?
Yeah, just my mom. So it was my mom. I grew up with my my brother Luis and Teresa and Yolanda. My oldest brother Jose, he was deployed he was in I'm not sure what is it, the Desert Storm. I think he was in Desert Storm, so he was in the army, but he's a little older, so I never really grew up with him or anything like that. But he was a disciplinary. Dad was never around, so never really had that. So mom was always busting her ass. So that was really nice to see, and I think it kind of jumped onto me, and then it kind of like influenced me.
Sure, bit, so, that work ethic,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, raising 5 kids, single mom.
Yeah, 5 kids, man, 5 kids. I'm the youngest one. I'm the baby.
Nice.
So, but yeah, so I always get shit because I was the baby. You know what I mean? So like, but yeah, man, my mom, she's a hard worker. She's awesome.
It's good to have that influence. Well, that's great. College? Did you go to college?
No, well, I went to a little bit of college. School was never my thing. I think I was always that kid that was, I was always that clown kid, that jokester. And I was that kid, like, those teachers would always say, you have so much potential, but you're never going to, do anything because you don't, put yourself into, you don't focus on it. And it's true. I always, and I feel like that's with a lot of people. I feel like some people just feel like they're too smart for that. And school is boring, like I feel like if I really tried, I think I could have definitely got my A's and B's in it, but I just didn't find my interest in it, like classes that I really loved. Awesome. Like history. I don't know why I loved history, science, gym, and lunch. I always loved lunch.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, man. So like things like that, but I never could really just grasp it and just kind of like, be outstanding in it. So yeah. It's
hard to focus, especially if, like you said, if it's not stimulating and if you're bored by it, it's kind of hard to go all in on it, right?
Yeah, and then college was cool. I mean, the only thing is that they gave me too much freedom. You know what I mean? That's college is like, high school. You're like, do this. This is your class. This is your class. This is your class. And then you get out of that, and then you go to college, and then you're just like, okay, you have one class at 8:00 and then one at 2:00, and you have all this free time, and then no one's gonna be checking up on you, and then you're just like, what do I do with all this time? You know, so it's just like so it's just like it's crazy. So it's so that's why I was like, I just, and then I saw like a $3,000 bill for one semester, and I'm just like, I'm working at Old Navy. Hell no, I'm not gonna. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna be able to do this. So I just dropped out, and I've been in limbo. Well, back then I was in limbo, like jobs and stuff like that. So
yeah. So before you started all these companies and being an entrepreneur, you did work, just regular jobs.
Yeah, man. So I had a bunch. It's funny. We'll touch back on him later on in the story. But my best friend, he gave me my first job, and we were very small. He used to grab like chiclets, like little chiclets, and we used to go sell them like in like restaurants and stuff like that. And this was when we were really, really young, probably like 4th grade, 5th grade. And he dragged me, and because I didn't want to, but I mean, obviously it helped out, say my sales skills.
Sure.
And then we moved on to there to like, we got a paper route, I was the first one to have a car. My mom let me drive her car, being the spoiled little, the little sibling, son,
the baby. Right?
Yeah. The baby of the family, she let me drive the car, and, he's like, hey, you got a car. Let's go do this paper route. So we got newspaper routes and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, from high school to college, all these different Old Navy, banks. And then I got a bank job, and that's when I started making decent money.
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like this is like nice checks,
Yeah.
$1,200 every 2 weeks, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh wow, I never seen this kind of money,
Right.
And you thought you're on top of the world, and you're just like, oh man, the rat race,
Right. Right.
Yeah, dude.
So So what made you decide that, that even though it was nice money, that wasn't for you, that you wanted to kind of be an entrepreneur and do your own thing?
Man, you know what? I don't know what got me out of the banking business. I just knew this is not what I wanted for like all my life. And then things just like really changed. Like I went to go into like trucking. All my family, they're all truck drivers. Mm-hmm. So I went to go try to do truck driving school, and I did go, and I went to Utah to get this license. And so while I was in Utah, Illinois changed their trucking licensing, and these cops came into like the business, and they're like, hey, anybody from Illinois, please, we're gonna send you back. They changed their laws where you can't have an outside license to drive inside of Illinois anymore. So now you got to have an Illinois license to be an Illinois truck driver.
Yeah.
So I got sent back, and then that's when I was just like, holy fuck, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? So the nice thing is that when I was lost in limbo in that part, my cousin he took ownership of this business, the screen printing business, called No Manchas Clothing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you're creative, Photoshop, you know all these things, and I'd like for you to jump on board. So I did that for like about 2-3 years, and I learned Photoshop like crazy. I learned screen printing. I learned vector files, color separations. I learned how to print T-shirts. I learned puff print, iron-ons, different types of threads, V-neck, what you're wearing, like this is like a 50-40, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I learned all those kind of things, and yeah, so that's what I learned. And then, but yeah, I mean, that's where I went. And from there, I got sick. So I got sick, and I think I told you and a couple of the friends that we all hang out with, that I got diagnosed with cancer. I had testicular cancer, and although it's the most common cancer that can be, cured, it's just something where the doctor tells you like, yo, you got cancer. You know? So like I'm over here 26,
that's
years old.
life-changing.
Yeah. So I'm 26 years old, and then this guy tells me, yo, you got cancer. And I'm just like, holy crap. I thought I'm living this up, Sure. Like I'm part owner of this, I'm part of a little piece of this t-shirt company. This t-shirt company is gonna be $1 million company. I'm going out drinking with my friends and stuff like that. And boom, he hits me up with this. And then that's like a week before my birthday. So it's actually, what's so funny is today the 10th?
Today is the 10th.
Yeah. So today, I actually saw on Facebook. So today is my anniversary. So it is my anniversary of finding out. So like today is my anniversary of finding out that I got cancer. So it's pretty interesting because I mean, that's what's nice about social media. It reminded me like, so it was my my anniversary.
How long ago was that?
26. I was 26 years old. So that's maybe, what is that? That's 5 years, 6 years almost. Wow. I think, yeah. So 6 years.
So not that long ago.
Yeah. Not that long ago, but I mean, it feels long, long ago.
Yeah.
So entering my 27th year, and I find out I had to go to, radiation and all those things for almost like 9 months.
Really?
So, and I was, the business wasn't doing well. I was in a shitty ass relationship, and I was like, man, like, and then I was like, I'm gonna die, like before, like I was just thinking like I'm gonna live forever, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm gonna die. Like, am I doing what I love? Like, am I doing what I like?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that changed everything. And it was hard because it was 3 of my cousins. We worked at this business, and we worked for it for 2 years, and we had these big dreams of living in the beach and like just smoking cigars and with Coronas and like, oh, our fucking company's like badass, and we have all these dope ass shirts, and I was unhappy, and just, I was in a dungeon printing shirts and left and right, and, being, tired and sick, staying up, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because when you do have a dream and when you do love what you're doing, staying up till 5 a.m. doesn't seem like shit, like now I can stay up till 5 a.m, 6 a.m, all day, because I love what I do, and I like doing it. But if you don't have the passion of that dream, then it's not going to be there, you know, and then, right away. So, and then, it was just in a, like, not a dark place, because my mental game was, it was just a low point in my life.
Yeah.
And, I decided happiness, my happiness is more important than anybody else's and anything in this world. And I told my cousins I'm out of the business and I can't do this no more. And then I told my ex-girlfriend then, or my girlfriend then, that that we weren't working out. Like it's toxic, it's bad, you know. And I'm not saying she was the issue. I'm saying that it could, probably both of us.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's just like whatever. So so we ended it. We broke up, and there I go. I'm back at the bottom. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And at that time, I was doing I was doing like inventory for a hot dog stand.
Okay.
In downtown. So it's called Kim and Carlos. Shout out. No, but yeah. So they have some really good hot dogs. I love that place. But yeah, I was doing that, and I was lost, dude. Just fucking lost, man. So yeah, I was just lost. So
yeah. And so, how did you backtrack just a little bit here? How did you get involved into like that that graphic design and stuff, and Photoshop and all that, and vector and all that stuff? Where did that come in before you got started with the t-shirt company?
That actually it came in with the t-shirt company.
Okay.
So it actually came in. So I know I probably said it was already there, but there was that need for it. Yeah. So I remember my cousin got ownership of this company, and I was like, man, that's so fucking awesome, and we're all creative, and we all have like some type of artistic stuff in our mind, and I literally drew up like 15 to 20 t-shirt designs, and it had nothing to do with this business. Like it's a Latino clothing brand. Okay. And it has nothing to do, it has everything to do with like graphics of like Latino stuff and things like that. So I drew 15 different designs, just on a notebook, like fucking just ideas. And I went to him in a meeting. I'm like, listen, like, just give me an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Look at these t-shirts. I could be creative for you guys. And then that just created the need of like, we're going to need a graphic designer. And basically, I didn't really know too much about Photoshop, And then that's when I had to learn. I had to start learning Photoshop and taking those ideas that I had in my head and how can I place them out into the real world. Wow. And then that's how I learned Photoshop and stuff like that. That's awesome. So
you just figured it out, huh?
Yeah, man, just figuring it out. I think your mind knows it, and you just have to bring it to your hands and stuff like that. And just figure it out. Yeah. So
that's cool. Very cool. So then you're diagnosed with cancer. You leave the t-shirt business. Yeah. And then what comes next? Is it the content creation or is it the meal prep?
Yeah. So actually the meal prep. So it's really weird because
and did that have something to do with what you learned working for the hot dog place?
So no, so the hot dog place was just it was just supporting me there. So and then like, well, I have to tell, but like during that time, I meet this amazing woman. Like, I mean, these are right now. It seems like these timelines are all really, really close. Sure. But there's a little bit of months behind them, and I meet this amazing girl, and she's awesome. So, anyways, she's a big part of whatever we're doing like now. But I just had to throw that in because I don't want to skip that. But yeah, so I'm in this hot dog cart, and I realized I have cancer. I'm pretty chunky. I'm like a 285 pounds at that time. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to start eating well. And like I've always, I don't care who you are. If you're heavy set, you've always had dreams of being skinny, ripped, running down Lakeshore Drive and just being like, ripped, you know what I mean? So like, I was like, I'm going to try it out. And so I started meal prepping for myself, and I started cooking for my best friend, the guy that was selling chiclets with, that I was selling the chiclets with. Yeah. And he's like, he's like, can you meal prep for me? And I was like, I'll pay you. And I was like, yeah, cool, man. So, I meal prepped for him, and then it kind of died down. And like, I was trying to ask people like, hey, do you want me to meal prep for you? And I had like this little menu and stuff like that. And it didn't really go anywhere. And then I was just like, man, what the hell do I do from now? And then for now, so one day, man, I was just laying in bed, and I was just like, what the hell? And I went down that YouTube rabbit hole, and I was watching workout videos, and which they always motivated me, So and one time I ran into this Peter McKinnon, and you know him. I know we talked about him. He's this huge YouTube guy, and I'm pretty sure he's changed a lot of lives, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have saw his videos and be like, I could do that, and I still can't do it. 3 years later, I still can't do what he does, but still I'm learning. But yeah, so I saw his video, and I'm just like, and I was just so emotionally touched by it, and I was just like, wow. I was like, I want to do that, and I want to make videos like that. And that same night, I looked up on OfferUp, and I was like, I bought a camera, and like within a week, I bought a camera and I bought this thing and I figured out the camera's like 5 years old and I'm just like, oh shit, this is an old ass camera,
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got into the content creation. And then from the content creation, my friend comes back and he's like, hey bro, he's like, I have this idea. And he's like, let's make that meal prep business and going, and he's like, let's do this. And I was like, and he's more business savvy than I am, like more, I would say I'm more the creative and he's more of like logistics, like
the numbers,
numbers and stuff like that. And it just worked out, you know what I mean? So it works out perfectly. And I was like, okay, cool. And like I wasn't doing nothing else, I was at the hot dog cart. And yeah, man. So that's how that came apart. And like so it all came back around and it just like let's start this meal prep business. And that's how. And then so the content creation was first, and then literally a month later, like the guy, my best friend called me up and he's like, let's start this meal prep business. Like, nice. And then, so that's how
that's awesome. So they say that, that's how great partnerships are. So some people will get into business with people that share the same strengths as them. And they say that those businesses don't usually work out. When you have a partnership where people have different strengths and everybody kind of has their own role, that's where the magic happens. You support each other and somebody's weakness is somebody else's strength. So that's awesome that you guys, and just the fact that you guys have known each other for so long, and then, you just keep coming back around to different, businesses. And now you found one that I think is great. I use prep meals.
Thank you for that.
I love the food. We just, you guys have broadened your delivery window, thank God. So now
because of you,
a lot of people at our gym are into it, and so it's fun watching. I've only known you a little over a year, but just in that year, how much bigger and more professional the company has become over that year. It's just it's cool to watch. Where you used to stay up all night long, renting out somebody's kitchen and cooking meals all night. And now you're able to step away from that a little bit. You got employees and you're doing all the content creation. Yeah. That's really cool. And speaking of the content creation, so the meal prep is prepped meals, PREPT meals.
I don't know if you can see it.
And then the content creation is Be Visual 30.
Yes.
Right. So tell me about that name. How did you come up with that name?
You know what? Be Visual 30 just came up because I feel like the things that I was going to do for these companies, they just needed to be they just needed to be visual. And they just needed to be more of that. And that's why that. And I picked 30. Now that I'm thinking about it doesn't really make sense. And it's just like, oh man, if a gym owner comes to me and like, oh, I work with Be Visual 30 agency, or like, that sounds stupid. Anyways, but like I always wanted something to look back at, and like I'm a big dreamer, and like I hope to one day look back. And the reason I picked 30 was I started it right before my 30th birthday. So I opened up, I started it, and I came up with the logo and everything, and that's why I picked 30.
Awesome.
Because it was right before my 30th birthday, and I was like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna be 30. So when I'm 45 and it's a big media production company, and I can look back, like that 30 means that I started when I was 30 years old. Just so I won't forget that. So
that's awesome.
That's why I started it. I mean, it sounds stupid now.
No.
But so like I'm just like, man, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't even flow well. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't roll off the tongue.
Sure.
I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I picked that name. Like what was I thinking?
Well, I mean, I guess it could have been worse, right? No, the story behind it is what makes it awesome. So,
so if somebody asked me that, if I know owner's going to be like, hey, what does this mean? Like,
right.
No, oh man,
you got to tell your brand agency story. That's all, So your content creation mostly focuses on the health and fitness space, and you do a lot with CrossFit gyms. So, and that's, I love your Instagram feed for Be Visual, because you'll put up a lot of your workout montages on there. Man, every time I watch one of those, I'm like, let's go to the gym. They get me motivated. They're awesome, and it's awesome to see your progression with those, and how how you're trying different things and experimenting, and they're really cool. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, so when a lot of times when I'm trying to figure out, video editing, video montages and stuff, I go and watch some of your stuff, not to necessarily copy you, but to get ideas because, like I said, it's cool that you're experimenting with a lot of this different stuff.
Yeah. I think that's how we learn though. You know what I mean? Like I saw a lot of Peter McKinnon stuff, and I think a lot of my very first videos were a lot of slow motion, a lot of those, slow, panning in or pulling out and stuff like that. And, and you could just see the progression in it. And I'm glad that's cool that you look into those videos and be like, I never thought that, somebody would be like looking at those at my videos, and I'm not nowhere near where I want to go when I want to be, but that's really cool that you say that.
No, it's awesome. So let me ask you this, for our business owners watching, how important do you think it is for somebody to be using content creation and video as part of their marketing strategy?
How important? I think it's, I think it's super important. It's your translation of your business. Mm-hmm. It's your digital. That's what we like to tell our business. It's your digital translation into the person. So like, let's say you have a terrible Instagram feed. No one's gonna know how good your business is. What I'm doing is I'm translating what you do to that person, to the viewer. And that's what we're all just trying to do. And if you're not translating that well, or if you're not posting enough, or if you're not showing great quality content, then it's not going to be portrayed well. And I think it's by far one of the most important, trifectas in there. So I think one is price, I think one is customer service, and one is, your marketing and what you do on that. I mean, not so much ads and stuff like that, but I feel like the actual content that you're bringing out. And nowadays, I tell everyone, you don't need me. You just need a phone, and you need to document what you're doing. Yeah. Now, if you want something nice and you want something, if you want to beautify your social media, then hit me up, and that's what we're gonna do for you, and that's what we are. But as a business owner, you need to be putting yourself out there. Radio's dead, TV's dead, billboards. Hopefully billboards maybe making a comeback with the screens and all that. But but those things are dying out slowly. Everything's moving towards the phone and stuff like that, and it's something that you definitely need to be aware about. And if you're not posting once a day or once every other day, then you're just going to be an afterthought. And it's and that's the thing. And but nowadays with your phone, you could come up with some dope stuff. The thing that we're trying to touch base on is that not everyone has time for that. Let me do it. You know what I mean? Let me do it, and I'll give you the content for you to post, or we'll even post it for you. You know what I mean? So like, and that's the thing. But so it's not the matter of fact that you can't take a good picture with your photo with your iPhone. Mm-hmm. You just don't have the time to do it. Right. So that's what we're trying to get up to.
The posting of social media, right? How often should somebody be posting to social media? How is it? You hear people like Gary Vee that say you should be putting out 50 pieces of content every day, and that's great for a guy that has a full-time video staff and editors. But for the rest of us normal people, how essential is it to be posting regularly? How regularly should we be posting, and what should we be posting? Should we be switching it up with video and photo? Should we be focusing on video? What's your thoughts on that?
You know what, man? I'm gonna give the unpopular opinion, and I know not everyone likes to hear this, but it's just like whenever you want, it's whatever you like, whatever you can invest in. You know what I mean? Gary Vee, I love Gary Vee, by the way. He led me down the entrepreneur, pathway. And like Andy Frisella always says, he's the entrepreneur 101. A lot of people find him and then they just start going to the
next. He's the gateway drug, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So that's a good way to put it. But so I mean, but I think it is crazy when you have somebody like that on staff, on your team like that, and like then they could be posting up and they could be chopping up videos and posting 3 times a day. And he says that 3 times a day, like that's crazy. And he can afford that, and he can do that, and he can invest in that time because he has that.
Sure.
But I think another thing too is like, I just think it's just really depending on what you want to do. I mean, if you're a business owner, I would ideally tell you to post, once a day, just so you could be out there, just because you could be relevant, and just so you don't go a day without being in the minds of your audience. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's the only thing. But if you're like a regular person and you just have your daily life, and if you have something to say, then do it, post it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's it. I think all this algorithm talk, and yes, that those things are true, and there's certain times that you can post and get more likes and stuff like that. But the way I do it is I just post whenever I want and how I want, and when I have something to say and when I want my voice to be heard.
Sure.
Because I mean, you can only get those thoughts once in a lifetime, or not once in a life, stupid. You only get those thoughts once in a while.
Yeah.
And then you want it to be that at that moment.
Right.
You know, you don't want it to be, kind of forced or faked, or you want that feeling to be, derived and come out on your post right there and then.
Yeah.
There's multiple times when I've been in the car like, oh man, this is such a good thought, and then I'm like, I'm gonna save it for later.
Yeah.
And then I forget it. You know what I mean? Just post it. Put on your IG story, put on your Snapchat, put on your TikTok now. Do whatever you want. You know what I mean? And that's that. I mean, no, nobody likes that. That answer, and everyone wants, hey, post at 12 at Central Time, and then make sure it's a video and no more between 45 seconds, and use this hashtag, and that's gonna get you all the likes. And it's not true. You just have to be consistent, invested, tell the truth, and be all about who you are, because then if you're authentic, fake, be authentic. And if you're not that, you're gonna build this whole persona around this fake person, and then when you are big, you're just gonna be like, you gotta be
who
that.
Am I? Right.
Yeah,
sure.
you gotta be that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's best to be just you.
Yeah.
What you want to say. So.
Oh, that's great advice. No, that's good. I like that answer. All right. Well, great. I think we covered a lot here. Gave us a lot of good insights on social media. And dude, like I said, it's been a great pleasure having you. I'm really glad you agreed to come on the podcast. Give me a chance to interview you.
I'll do like 10 more of these if you want, man.
Oh, dude, yeah, I love getting to know my friends better, and I love hearing the backstories of how things came about. The struggles with cancer, the growing up in the southwest side, but able to stay away from the gangs, even though single mom, 5 kids, you can have the same person in a similar situation and go the complete opposite direction, right?
Yeah,
so,
I have no idea how that happened.
So right, it's like like Ed Milet says, things happen for you, not to you, and who knows? Maybe there's got to be a bigger reason why you're going the path that you're going, right?
Yeah.
So big things to come for you, and it's exciting to watch, man. So where can people find you on the old interwebs there?
Social medias, I mean, you can find me George, the content creator, on Instagram. My other Instagram is bvisual30. Those are my 2 main focuses right now. That's another thing I would say. Focus on one thing, kill it there, and then just trickle over to another thing.
Yeah. So even in the prepped meals, you're basically in charge of the content creation.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a content creation company, and then you use that platform to leverage your aspect of the prep meals.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So it may seem like that you're into different things. If somebody says, what do you do? Oh, I own a content creation company. I own a meal prep company.
Yeah.
Those don't sound like they're integrated, but what you do for the company is in line.
Before they would clash when I was a lot in the kitchen, and
Sure.
when I was doing all that stuff, they would clash a lot. But ever since we've been able to, and I've been able to get out the kitchen, it's worked out really
That's
well.
what happens a lot of times with a startup, right? You got to wear many hats, and you got to do some of the jobs that
definitely.
you don't want to do. But it's not all glitz and glamour, right?
Yeah.
It's not all.
But eventually, you'll get to that spot where you kind of just not fade away, but fade out of that little sequence, and then you're able to do your favorite thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like cooking, and like when we first started, washing dishes was my least favorite thing to do, and I used to wash the dishes, and then I wash the dishes, and then we found somebody to take over that job, but then that moved me over to like more cooking aspect, and now I didn't like cooking, or like I didn't like doing this one specific dish, and now they're doing that specific dish, and like just you move up little steps, little steps, and then like you just look back at it, and now I'm sitting at home, and I don't have to cook overnight, and I don't have to cook all those things. I'm paying somebody to do all those things for me, and then now you're doing your favorite things. So like I'm creating pictures and content for them, for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, good. Very good. Well, folks, Be Visual 30. George, the content creator. Follow him on Instagram. He's doing some really cool stuff. He puts up a lot of his awesome snippets, montages of workouts. If you want to get motivated to get to the gym, just watch a few of those things, and they'll get you going. So, George, thanks again. Appreciate having you, brother.
Thanks you, brother.
All right, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.